Welcome to my channel, Pipe Smokers. I'm Nathan. Thanks for joining me. I am coming to you from my garage, which is, in comparison to the past week, a balmy 28 degrees, so I'm out here without my coat on. Again, my space heater keeps my legs pretty warm, and the heat drifts up so I don't really necessarily freeze to death out here. It's a good space heater. But it makes me think to my mom and how she just would be beside herself with me not having a coat on. So I'd also show up to her place in the wintertime with sandals on. So, a little shopkeeping here. Smoking my Bing's favorite, or I'm calling it my Nathan's favorite. In there, I am enjoying some Solani Silver Flake Blend 660. It's a superb blend. If you have an opportunity and you see a tin of it, get it. I mean, they're bigger tins. I think they're 250 gram tins. No, they're just 100 gram tins. Now I'm thinking about it. But either way, it just absolutely a wonderful smoke. It comes pretty dry because it's one of those tins that's not sealed, and the tobacco's in this cellophane wrapping that's just taped together in one spot. So, and you gotta add a little bit of distilled water or whatever to moisten it back up, but it's good, so good, even when dry. And I'm enjoying it with a nice stout. This is Brewdog Jet Black Heart on the Nitro. It's an oatmeal milk vanilla stout, and it is absolutely fantastic. Sure, I can pick up some of that. Go for it. So speaking of my mother, so I'm going to do a lane change. I came on to talk about technology, and thinking about the cold weather reminded me of my mother, who is home with the Lord now since September. So we've been, October, November, December, January. So we're 5 months now since she's gone home. And, think about her quite a bit. And just really enjoy it, actually. The grieving process is really more of a joyous thing for me with this. And, the hard part was watching her, go with the cancer. When you see this woman who to you was larger than life just kind of, get physically taken away. It just, that was the challenge. When she, at least for me, I know it's different with my siblings in most cases, but so the memory that I had just had sitting out here in a cold garage without a coat on, back in high school, back in what would be my svelte days. And this will date me a bit. So I'm 42, so this is 26-ish years ago. And so back in high school, I was on the tennis team. And um, and I was playing, well, getting ready to play a match against some team that we had on the schedule. And in Chillicothe, it's Chillicothe in Ohio is like kind of the foothills to the foothills of the Appalachians. And but we have this branch of Ohio University in Chillicothe, so OUC. And it was actually set up on one of those foothills. And they had worked out a deal with the high school where we could play tennis on their tennis courts. So they had like 6 tennis courts that we could use. And it was set up there, and the wind would just whip right through these courts at times. And when you get into the colder months, it can bite pretty nicely. Well, we had one particular match. It was an early season match, so in our schedule, our match days started, if I'm remembering right, mid-March, late March, somewhere around there. So it was right on the tail end of the cold peak of winter. And we always ran the risk of at least one game having some snow during the match. And this particular match had exactly that. And my poor mom, they had one little bleacher section, set up on the outside of the tennis fence. And she's sitting up there in her coat, just freezing her tail off. And I'm out there on the court in my warm-ups, just getting ready with my opponent. And we got done warming up and thought, all right, time to play. Well, in tennis, in a lot of sports, you need as much mobility as you can get. So there was no way I was going to play with my warm-up pants on. I kept my warm-up jacket on, but I always slid side to side in tennis. And so I took my warm-up breeches off and played in my warm-up top and my shorts. To the severe chagrin of my mother. And played the match, and if I recall right, I actually won the match. I wasn't very good. Or at least the people that I played against, I wasn't a consistent winner because I always seemed to get matched up at a level where the particular level that I was playing against on the other team was always just a bit better. That when it came to match time, I was never clutch. Tennis wasn't my clutch sport. So in any case, the match goes on, I beat the guy, and the match is over. I put my racket away into my bag and everything, get the warm-up pants back on, and I start walking toward the fence gate. And normally my mom would just kind of walk over to the path sideways, and I would meet her right there. Well, no, she came right up to the gate, actually. And I assumed that it was just to say, hey, you did a real good job. And so I was like, we're all ready to accept all the adulation that was owed. Nope. God love her. That woman looked at me, said, "We need to get to the car. I'm cold. And if you ever play a snowy game like this again while I'm in the bleachers and you're in your shorts, I will never come to any one of your matches again." Because that woman, with me playing in shorts, I made her colder by proxy. And that was fine during the match. I was actually never cold at all because I was moving and, my blood was pumping pretty well. But that poor woman, I put her through so much, and I had 3 siblings before me that put her through so much, and a sibling after me that put her through so much. She was remarkable. You know, just a really good woman, real classy woman that had a good sense of humor. Could dress you down at a moment's notice when you needed it, which I did quite often. And even when she was upset, her love for you never dropped an inch. And so it's funny moments like that I remember from my mother that I'll carry with me for a long, long time. Hopefully the rest of my days. Her father was much the same way. Grandpa, who I admired greatly. After Grandma died, he stuck around for exactly a year before the Lord brought him home. So they were separated in death by a year exactly. But he had the same sense of humor that Mom had. Just a good wit. We'd watch golf when I'd go and sit with him and just chat with him after Grandma passed. And this golfer named Jesper Parnevik, this Swedish guy, would be on the TV golfing in the loudest pants you've ever seen in your entire life. I mean, it was just like this mix of yellow and orange plaid that looked kind of like the hat from Caddyshack that Rodney Dangerfield criticized. I mean, just wild stuff. And my brother looked at him when he saw it, like, "Dad, what do you make of this guy with those pants?" And Grandpa was like, he's a Swede. And Grandpa was part Swedish. So he just knows from experience. And the last time that I saw Grandpa, it was just constantly, the humor was always there. And, he was a man that you didn't trifle with, but he had a good sense of humor. He knew how to care about people and love people, and use humor to do so as well. And he had been moved into a full-time care place at the home that he was staying in. And I always went over on Tuesdays to take care of him. Make sure that he didn't need any more food. Help him in and out of the shower, because he was not about to let my mom or my aunt help him out with that. He was too proud for that. But it was an honor to help him, because he was a man that I greatly admired. And the last night, he was in that full-time assisted living, so he didn't need help with the shower or anything, but, we just I got there and he was tired and ready for bed. So I didn't get to spend a whole lot of time with him. But he was sitting in the living room and needed to take his medicine. And he had probably, I think, 6, 7, 8 types of medication that he was taking at the moment. But being in his mid-80s, he passed away 2 days later. His nerve endings on his lips weren't anything to sense anything at all. So he's sitting there gripping these one pill at a time, trying to toss them into his mouth. He only made one. That's not even good for baseball. But he, he got that one in there, and it was just kind of a humorous thing for me to witness because, he didn't really care at the same time. But then he looks up at me and says, "Oh," looking around, he says, "I need my water. It's on my nightstand." So I went in there and saw 4 glasses of clear liquids on the nightstand. I'm like, okay, well, I'll just grab this one, grab that one, and walked into the living room and handed it to him. And, drunk it down, took his medicine, looks up at me, smiles, and he says, "It's my martini." And he just smiled. And martini was one of the things that I always did for him. I always made him one. But again, he was a man who enjoyed life, enjoyed his family, really felt that family was what was precious. He always said to us, friends come and go, but family, that's what really sticks. And it was true in his case. It's been true in my life. They were words to live by. Those are things you fight for. And family was it. So, in any case, that was the humor from my grandfather that he passed down to my mother. And they were both very graceful in their latter days. Again, more examples of my mother. I know I'm going along on this, but that's okay. One of the last days that we spent with Mom, we'd always go on Saturdays and take the girls, my wife and I would, and Mom was in and out kind of that day. And at one point, Dad was wheeling her into the bedroom. She had a pillow with her, and she was trying to get it out from under her. Well, she got it, and she couldn't figure out what to do with it. Well, I was standing right there, so she swung it at me and hit me with it. Had a big old smile on her face, and, that was that. Then she wakes up a little bit later, Dad's rolling her out, and I see her as she's coming out of her bedroom door. And right before she comes around the corner and sees everybody else, she looks at me and she goes, "How's my hair?" And, having gone through a bout of cancer, there really wasn't much. It was a lot of fuzz, thin fuzz. But that was the self-deprecating, good-humored type stuff that she was known for. Always had a good sense of humor. So it was a blessing. And so, changed gears a little bit, but it was good. That was my mom. And I rejoice every moment that I had with her. I rejoice that she's home and with the Lord, and rejoice in the time that I now spend with my dad and my siblings, since she is departed. And it hasn't been, I mean, there's been sorrow with it, but it's been a rejoicing grief. And I think that's a result of how the Lord made her and how that impacted us, along with Dad, whom just held her up as the end-all be-all of God's creation. So, in any case, thanks for watching if you stuck around. I appreciate it a lot. My ramblings of departed family. And, yeah. So, count your blessings. Be thankful for them. And when all that is said and done, grace and peace to you.